Say his name, and he appears. Today we're talking about a guy who, at the time of recording this video, remains unsigned. Call him Jonathan Majors with the way he is remaining. Let's talk today about Dallas Stars forward Michael Bunting and dive into some of the destinations that he has been linked to on the hockeynews.com. Could we see Michael Bunting as a Montreal Canadien? How about a Buffalo Sabre? Could he go over to Winnipeg? Michael Bunting is 30 years old, from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, 6 feet, 185, whose contract has already expired with the conclusion of this most recently completed season. Bunting made headlines in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, where after miraculously dodging the Calder fulfillment requirements year after year in the Arizona system, he found himself in a full-time NHL role for the first time in his career, posted up a career-high 63 points in 79 games, and then it was all downhill from there. Bunting ended up missing out on the Calder, although he was a very legitimate candidate to win that season, alongside of Trevor Zegras and Lucas Raymond. Ultimately, it was Moritz Seider of Detroit who won that season. But Bunting was never able to replicate the 60 points in 70 games. He had 49 points in 82 games the year after, before going over to the Carolina Hurricanes, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Nashville Predators, and then the Dallas Stars. His most previously completed season wasn't that bad. I mean, he had a total of 33 points in 74 games played, but it was a far cry from what he had done 4 years ago in Toronto. Bunting wrapped up his season with 2 points in 13 Dallas Stars games, including 1 assist in the 1 game he played for Dallas in the playoffs against Minnesota. Now, Bunting is 30, and he still remains on the free agent market at the time of me speaking into this microphone and recording this audio. So let's dive into this article posted by Michael DeRosa on the Hockey News that talks about some potential UFA destinations for Michael Bunting. With Bunting still available as a UFA, let's look at 3 teams that could sign the pesky winger. Another big name has officially been off the board, as Patrick Kane signed a deal to return to Chicago a few days ago. The future Hall of Famer was the best UFA still available before returning to Chicago. While there aren't too many notable UFAs left, there are still a few interesting ones. Michael Bunting is among them, as the 30-year-old is a solid middle six forward who chips in offensively and plays a feisty game. With Kane off the board, it would not be surprising if Bunting's market starts to heat up. Due to this, let's look at 3 potential destinations for the 7-year NHL veteran. The top team that is written about by DeRosa is the Buffalo Sabres. He writes the Sabres were one of the teams strongly connected to Kane this offseason before he signed with Chicago. Because of this, it would not be surprising if they pivoted to Bunting. While he does not produce the same kind of offense as Kane, he would help solidify their top 9 if signed. With the Sabres losing Alex Tuch this offseason and not making any notable additions on offense this summer, it could make sense for them to bring in Bunting on a short-term deal. He could be a nice fit on their third line if brought in. You know, honestly, when I think about Michael Bunting going over to Buffalo, I actually think it's a reasonable idea. I mean, when my brain thinks about the Sabres, I think about the guys at the very top, okay, Tage Thompson, Dahlin, whatever, but I also think about the young players that are coming into their own. Oddly enough, I feel like Michael Bunting would be the perfect mentor for a guy like Zach Benson to go out there and continue doing what he's doing in Buffalo. Bunting knows how to be a pest. He knows how to get under opponents' skin. I don't want to say he's like Sam Bennett out there, but he does have that capability of sliming in and squeaking into those dirty areas, finding the right angles and finding the right position to score goals, and also ramp things up physically. Bunting could be almost the perfect kind of play style for a guy like Zach Benson to replicate. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Lego, you say that. Michael Bunting had 33 points this previous season. Zach Benson had 40. He's already better than Bunting. And I would probably say so too. It's just, you can never turn away veteran experience. Bunting is 30, Benson is 21. I think there is a pretty good link there in terms of play style and adaptability if these two were to be playing on the same line, or if they were to be able to form their own sort of connection on a power play or penalty kill. Let's go over to the other teams talked about by Michael DeRosa on this article. The Montreal Canadiens are listed here as well. The Habs are another Atlantic Division team that could use a boost on the wing. With Bunting now one of the top UFAs still available, it would be understandable if the Habs considered signing him. If the Canadiens signed Bunting, he could compete with Alex Newhook for Montreal's second-line left wing spot. Yet, even if Bunting played in a bottom six role for the Canadiens, he would have the potential to be a valuable addition to their group. Now that I agree with as well. Say what you want about the Montreal Canadiens and whether or not Bunting is a top six option. He is definitely a better bottom six option than some of the other guys that the Canadiens have employed over the past few years. Remember just last season when everybody was talking about, Josh Waugh, he can be a really nice third liner? Yeah, sorry, he wasn't really that much. Michael Bunting could be a really nice, solid third line replacement, essentially providing sort of that same value that Josh Anderson provides, maybe not with his strict foot speed and bulldozing ability, but just with the difficulty to play against. Michael Bunting alongside of an Anderson could essentially be an upgrade over Brendan Gallagher, just with a little bit more finesse and a little more offensive potential at this stage. Bunting, I feel, would be a really nice top six challenger for Alex Newhook as well, because I do think if Bunting is able to get that mojo going, if you play him with the right guys, we've seen in the past he can be a 60-point winger. Now, there was a lot of controversy back in this 21-22 season, Bunting is getting all these secondary assists because he's playing with Marner and Matthews. I could get points playing with Marner and Matthews, let alone a guy like Michael Bunting. I do think that a lot of those conversations, though, were fueled by angry Red Wings fans trying to discredit Bunting's run for the Calder Trophy that season. But either way, having Bunting as a potential Canadian, I don't think is a bad idea. And you could also say the same thing about the last team written about here, the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets' depth on the wing is not the strongest at the moment. Because of this, it could make sense for them to take a gamble on Bunting to improve their middle six. Bunting would be a potential upgrade over the Jets' second line over Nino Niederreiter if signed. While Bunting had a bit of a down year this previous season, he also recorded at least 49 points from 2020-2021 to 23-24. With this, he could give the Jets some much-needed secondary offense if signed. Now, a team like the Winnipeg Jets probably has the most to gain out of getting a guy like Michael Bunting. They are trying to still be competitive. You can debate amongst yourselves whether or not that is actually going to happen with Stuart Skinner as the new starter and Connor Hellebuck potentially getting traded. But Michael Bunting would be a pretty interesting middle six option to help out in that respect as well. Not saying that he's guaranteed to being the best, especially if Winnipeg is going through some sort of a retool on the fly, but I do think that there is something to consider when it comes to Michael Bunting as a middle six option over in Manitoba. With that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments section. How do you feel about each of these three teams? This article is going to be linked in the description. Shout out to Michael DeRosa for providing the hockey news with the piece. If you're a Sabres fan, a Canadiens fan, or a Winnipeg Jets fan, how do you feel about the idea of Michael Bunting coming over to your team in free agency? And if this guy is actually signed by the time this video is public on YouTube, then, hey, I can get slapped in the face. I give you permission. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.